It's that time to explore the health journey. All right. So I have been putting myself out there and sharing my health journey that started a few weeks ago. And I want to bring it here onto the podcast, onto Change by Choice, so that you can also start to dig in and explore your health journey through maybe certain things that you're hearing from me. We all have our journeys. I truly believe that health, especially, is something that ebbs and flows. We're not always perfect. Nothing in our life is. We have triggers. Each one of us have different triggers. We also go through different times where we're tested in terms of our time and how when something new comes into our life, and sometimes it's something incredibly positive, but it can really offset our health habits, our health disciplines. So I'm going to actually walk you backwards a little bit just so that you guys get a bit bigger of a picture, a painted picture, and then we'll get into what's been going on lately. So I have been, pretty active. I'm a spin instructor. I love spinning. And I was actively running. I kind of ebb and flow with what I do in terms of like physical exercise. I'll go through spurts where I'm going to the gym a lot, and then I'll run a lot, and then I kind of bounce around a little bit. But that's a little bit like my personality too. So about a year ago, actually a little over a year ago now, two things happened around the February mark, and two things that dramatically shifted my health and my time. And so I had gotten quite sick. I'd gotten this weird kind of lung infection, but it really took me out for about 6 weeks. Now, I was still able to work, but I wasn't able to work out anymore. And so even as a spin instructor, I started to teach off the bike because I couldn't my doctor told me not to do any kind of physical activity. And I had to make sure that I was really resting, because the other side of my life is that, just like I'm here, I do a lot of coaching. My job is to speak and to do it with a lot of engagement and energy. And I need to be at my best when I'm working with my clients. They don't get anything less than 100+% of me. And so that's what I protect first. And so I happened to get a huge contract, and there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself. And plus I was still healing from being sick and losing my voice, which is like the scariest thing as a coach. Anyone out there who has a job where you need to speak and you either lose your lung capacity or you lose your voice, it's really, it can create a lot of fear. So those two things happened. My schedule completely changed, and I, for a period, could not work out. So then it's a vicious circle, right? I fell out of all the habits. I was very minimal in terms of sugar intake, not drinking any caffeine. I'm not a big drinker at all, so I rarely drink. My eating was really strong, and it all just started to go downhill. And I'm sure most of us have gone through this, where it's like, you pull the string and then all of a sudden everything starts to crumble, and it's a slow decline. It starts off and then you have the best of intentions. You're going to get yourself right back up there. But you don't. And you know that you should, but you still don't. And all of a sudden I started to let that sugar creep back in. And so I would say for myself, now everyone's in a different spot. When you will hear me talking about nutrition, half of me was eating like really good food. Like, I love healthy food. I love good food, good cooking. The other half of me, it's like a teenage kid, who just wants to go, eat hamburgers all day long and French fries and ice cream. So it's like I was a combination of both. I'd eat really healthy with a combination of lots of stuff that I just shouldn't be consuming. And then a lot of like sugary things added back into my diet. And I love my habits. So it went from, maybe drinking something daily that was good for me, to maybe having a London fog that had the, half the syrup in there. And what we don't take into account is what that is doing to our blood sugar levels, and how that's offsetting. So for me, as the year, so now we're heading into a year and a bit, went on and progressed, I could feel my body changing, and I've always had a lot of energy. So it's not that I couldn't keep up with my life. I was still vivacious. I could still do my work extremely well, but could I have done it better? Probably. Our energy is everything. Our bodies, and I talk about this all the time, they're our greatest asset. Without them, we've got nothing. So the moment we start to make decisions like treating it like a garbage can, then you start to see the consequences based on those choices. Now, I'm a person of moderation is great, but I know for myself specifically, when I need to shift, I kind of need to go a little hardcore and get myself nice and stabilized, and then I can start to find that flow again. Because especially with my body type, and now that I'm learning a little bit more about my insulin levels, and I'm just getting a whole bunch of tests done, sugar is toxic for everyone, but I think for myself, it's triple fold. So my family history, we have breast cancer that runs through it. Not only my grandmother, my father had it. There's, it's possibility that will be something that hopefully I don't have to do if I'm taking good care of myself or go through, but it's a possibility and it's there. And so here's the trick, is that we know this. I'm sure everyone out there right now is thinking oh yeah, I don't want to limit my life. I don't want to be bedridden later on in life. I don't want to have heavy medical bills when I'm my most vulnerable self, when I don't have my physical body to help me kind of live my life. We logically know what we don't want in our life, but sometimes there's still a gap between immediate pleasure and immediate comfort and long-term results and our long-term why. So I was clear on long-term, but what I didn't take into account was how much having that sugar and the high intake of carbs creep back into my body really affected how I thought about food. And it became so apparent this time how much it tipped me into being an emotional eater. Beyond almost my control, even though it is my control, but the thoughts that would come out in relationship to loss, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to lose that. I won't be able to eat that. All these things that you start to get into these patterns of control. The feeling like you're losing control, or feeling like that's what you get to control. And it's just crazy. And it's all because for me, my blood sugar levels were off, completely off. I was starting, so now kind of creeping up closer to the last couple of weeks, I'd been noticing in journaling. So one thing I've been strong, and it's what I always talk about, journal about what's going on for you. I was very mindful in the process as it was going along, but I just couldn't seem to click myself out of it. And I wanted to be able to eat what I wanted more than having the best health and being at my best. Now, if I didn't have that mindset, I don't know. I probably would have maybe been a little bit depressed, or I would have hated my body, or I would have but those aren't things that I allow in my life. And moms out there especially, our children are listening to us. I don't talk about my body in a bad way. That is a rule of thumb that I have. My mom gave me that gift. I never heard my mom complain about her body. Don't complain about your body in front of children. That will be their bar in terms of what they are going to be trying to achieve in their life. That feeling of dissatisfaction. So all of this that I'm talking to you about was happening inside my head. And me consciously, through a lot of the disciplines that I use in high performance coaching, I used on myself throughout this entire process. The downfall was I just wasn't able to kick myself out of it quickly enough. So a few weeks ago, I had my yearly physical come up, and which is always, men and women out there, that is your benchmark for your health. Go and see your doctor, and if you don't have one, go find one, to go have your yearly exam. And go there with questions, with things. Don't just randomly go in. This is your life. This is your body. Start to talk about the things that you're experiencing. Don't allow like the fear of, oh, I don't want to know, to hold you back, because knowledge is power. When you know more, you're able to do more. And so I went in and I was sharing, I just, in terms of like, for me, my hormones were off, women out there, I mean, men experience it too, just in different ways, but I'm obviously talking as a woman, so I'm going to throw it out there as such. And, just like awful pain that I was experiencing each month. I could see almost like discoloration happening in my armpits. I could feel my pH levels changing. Like, it was like almost like a burning feeling. And I'm drinking enough water. So I have to say, for me, it was literally nutrition and a little bit lack of consistent exercise. I'm sleeping enough. I'm getting 8 hours plus a night. I'm meditating. I'm reflecting. I drink enough water. And so it wasn't this side of it. So this is what was happening purely with my food choices, and then that inconsistency with not sweating it out enough, you know what I mean? Not having those great workouts consistently. So this is how scary it is. All of this was good for me and almost great. This on this side, this is what really for me was the part that tipped me over. Food especially. I cannot stress it enough. Sleep and food. So I go in with all these different things that I'm seeing, that I'm feeling, tiredness in my eyes. I'm starting to get a little bit more of tension, and I'm not a person who gets headaches. So again, just examining all these symptoms that are coming up for me. And she said it. She's like, we're going to send you in for some tests. We're going to do thorough, like push for what you need. We're going to do thorough exam of all sides here. Going to get all your blood levels checked, your vitamin levels, your hormone levels, like anything that we can check, we're going to get checked. So then I was like, because the word that she threw out there was, it kind of looks like you're starting to become resistant into insulin. And I was not expecting to hear that. That actually was not even on my radar. See, I went prepared thinking, okay, diet, blah, blah, blah. Maybe something else is up. Maybe I'm experiencing something to do, hormonally or whatever. And when she said that, that was my wake up call. I was like, oh no, oh hell no, this is not happening. Like, I potentially could be pre-diabetic. Like, that didn't even cross my mind. And not only that, the correlation between that and different, problems that we have with our cycles, with our hormone regulation, like, our thyroid, just everything, our lymphatic system, it's all connected together. So I left that appointment and I was like, that's it. That was the shake that I needed. That was the only thing I need to hear. That is it. It's done. It's done. I'm back to how I was. I'm going to and again, for me, I was able to make quicker decisions, kind of get myself back on track quicker. For other people, it may be one step at a time. Too many people go all in from 0 to 120, but they don't have the mental strength to keep up with those habits long term. So therefore, they keep falling back off and back off and back off, and they feel worse about themselves every single time. See, I've already had, through all the tools that I teach on in high performance coaching, I have that to lean on. So I've already got the start there. But I had to make some major shifts with eating. Now, what surprised me too was that my doctor, who's an incredible doctor, she's not just about going to like, here's what you need to take. It's like, no, let's start to evaluate like what you need to do. And I was like, okay, we know where to start. We're going to be starting with food. And she's like, I really think that you should look into a keto style diet. It's not about going into ketosis. It's not about, I'm not doing it for weight loss. It's about the type of eating that I should be eating. And which makes a lot of sense because when I was at my healthiest and extremely consistent, where my blood sugar levels were very consistent. I wasn't having lots of cravings. I was very calm. And that's how I know when I'm eating well, is that I just feel calm. I'm not thinking about food, and I'm not obsessing about what I can have, what I can't have. I'm just calm. And, for me, it's a very kind of Mediterranean style diet too, where I can have like lots of olive oil and lots of avocados and high fat, some protein, but really low carb. I still eat some fruits. I don't go crazy extreme. But I am playing around with it, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it, because here's the thing. It actually didn't take me long to kind of what we'd call do the sugar detox part of it, because I was so affirmed that this just needs to happen. And again, I already had great sleep. I'd already been hydrating myself and kind of pushing toxins out a lot. So this was just like the piece that I needed to focus in on. So each one of you out there, I challenge you to really write down as I'm talking, like, what is coming up for you? Is there any part that you're relating to? Explore the different areas of your health, your sleep, 1 to 10, where you at? Your water, 1 to 10, where you at? I use the gauge of half my body weight in ounces, but you may do something different. Point is, drink consistently during your day and not just in big buckets during your day. Where are you at with your physical exercise, 1 to 10? Are you challenging yourself? Are you sweating during the week? And then this other side, which also was a real positive for me, was I'd already been meditating, journaling, reflecting, had some good self-time, and I do that consistently every single day. So those are the areas you need to look at to create more balance, so that you feel at your best, so that you can change your health story that's happening right now. You may change a different route in terms of eating. I know what works for me. I had a good base knowledge from what had worked in the past. Now I'm pushing it a little bit further. So I do some work with Roasted Chickpea. If you haven't joined her Instagram page, her Facebook page, or her blog, go check her out. Her name is Kayla. She's incredible. She works for me here on my team, and she does my food prep with me. And so that was something that we started to tweak. And so each week now you're going to see food prep that's different. We're playing around. We're having fun. We're being creative in this realm of trying to eat. And I'm taking out certain grains and legumes right now, just to see, again, what is altering my blood sugar levels. How is my body responding? What is giving me even more energy? And I'm even finding the quality of my sleep even better. So, and I was already sleeping pretty well. So I'm on my second week now of this. So we are heading towards the end of June, and I'm going to continue to share my journey. So if you follow me on my Instagram stories, I'm sharing the whole process. Like today, I just went to go get the last round of all the blood tests from the doctors. And then in 5 days from now, I'm going to be starting a month-long hormone test that I'm doing with Dr. Diana Draper. And she's super geeking out about this, and so am I. It's actually quite weird, but I want to see the difference between a privatized test for hormone testing where you're doing it every single day versus what you get done through the hospitals and the lab. And then we're going to look at the results. I'm going to share it all to see, where are things at? Like, where's my body at? I'm also at an age where I can't get away with some of the things that I was getting away with before. I'm 38 years old. I've had 2 kids. I'm a single mom. I work hard. I love the things in my life, but good things can still add stress to you. How your body manages it, your levels of your cortisol levels, how you're moving through situations. So this is why it's so important. I want to hear about your health journeys as well. And so I would love for you to share with me. If you go to the Contact Me page on my website, charlottefro.com, I want to hear where you're at, what your struggles are. We've got the tools to be able to help you. And it really starts with that mental strength, right? Starting to build confidence through consistent habits in your life. I know it's not sexy talk. It's not sexy talk, but the result is sexy. People are like, habits, don't want to. Guess what? Pick your hard. You got to choose your hard. You can either start to shift and do some things that maybe aren't as fun. Maybe you've got to alter some of your lifestyle, quote unquote, where you're at right now. But what you're gaining, keep yourself really positioned to what you're gaining in your life. This is your life. If you knew that the choices that you're making now is shortening your life or making the quality of your life less than it should be, why wouldn't you make a different choice? Don't wait to get the bad news. If that's what you need, I guess you're going to get there, but you're not going to be happier for it. Do one thing that's different every single day. It could just be one thing. Instead of doing this, you've done this. Maybe you have your coffee, you've got, 3 scoops of sugar in there. Maybe you only have 1. Maybe it's 1.5. Maybe it's 2. Whatever it needs to be, start to make small shifts and pivot, and you will feel better. You'll feel better about yourself, and your body will start to feel better. But you got to start eliminating some of that sugar intake. It's just poison. And I've seen both sides of it now. And my father, who I've also, we're blessed with the experience of seeing other people's journeys for a reason. When I was in my early 20s, my dad got breast cancer, as I shared before, and he was one of the few men. Now it's starting to develop more and more, which should be a huge indication that, things are just getting crazy. But he was a chef. He worked in the restaurants. He worked long, crazy hours. He sacrificed. He literally sweat blood when he was working in his restaurant. It was nuts. He didn't have that quality of life. He missed out on a lot of things. And I never faulted him for that, because I saw the hard work and the mission and the purpose that he had. But here's the thing. He wasn't treating his body right. What he put his body through throughout all those years, took him getting breast cancer, retiring, having to find himself again through that process of retiring. And that was a huge wake-up call. And he went to a place in Mexico, and in that place, they retaught him how to eat. And it really came all back to food. You shift how you eat, you change your life. It's bottom line. Your body is addicted, and we don't need to eat that much. When your thoughts are consumed by what are you going to drink, what are you going to eat, and you're starting to experience that like addictive type of thought process, your body is out of whack. Bottom line. When you make that commitment to yourself, you'll see you're going to experience life in a whole different way. Your level of calm is going to be just at a different place. And so I challenge you, just like my mentor, Brendan, challenged us last time we were at an event, make this the healthiest year of your life. Well, I'm challenging you now. Make this, from this moment on, the healthiest year that you've ever had. And I promise you, you'll look back a year from now and you won't be able to imagine going back to what you were at. And so treat yourself kindly. The choices that we make in life are a reflection of our self-worth. How we treat our body, that says a lot about how we feel about ourselves. And so give yourself that gift. And I want to hear about it. So again, if you want to know more, I'm sharing my entire journey on my Instagram stories, Charlotte_Farreau. Go find me. And I want to hear from you. So good luck with everything. Make this year your healthiest, and I will continue to share what my experience has been. All right, you take care.